Okay, so I am at AIA Houston offices, and Patrick Renner has his show here, Once and Future Architecture, and it's a fascinating show on view through August 19th. And here's all the information about it. He was the AIA Artist of the Year in 2016, but then Harvey happened and COVID happened. So he finally gets his show now. Y'all come on down. It's at 902 Commerce Street and open during the week during business hours. So just make sure you check the website before you come on downtown. Okay, and we have a surprise because Patrick Renner is here in the house. Surprise. So Patrick, you're going to give me a quick tour so people can see the show, but they really obviously need to come see it in person.
Yeah, I would love it if anybody comes down to check it out in person, as Sarah said, but of course I'm pleased to have the video documentation of it. So
yeah,
here's the show.
Okay, so you're going to get over here and just start talking about the show, and I'm going to try to get a full-on view so we can start from the beginning. Okay.
Right. So the installation is made of primarily found architectural refuse that I've collected over a number of years at this point. I've been collecting this material for a long time because I like the different qualities of the stuff that I find and the weathering that's evident on the material. So, and the entire show is really inspired by this piece that you see on the corner, which is titled Wood Dauber. And I made that in 2012. It was sort of my initial homage to the mud daubers because I like what they do, the way that they build. So I was thinking about how that relates to my own building process. And so when I came into the building and saw the holes in the ceiling, which are really beautiful,
panel noise.
Yeah, a sound baffling device, ceiling treatment, that sort of inspired the bigger installation as a whole.
And then, so tell us about this piece. That's one of your first public sculpture pieces?
Yeah. So this is the last remnant of the first public sculpture that I made when I was in Kansas City as a student at the Kansas City Art Institute, and that was made in like 2002 or 3. And for whatever reason, I've held on to it that long. It lives with some of my collectors, which is kind of them to hang on to it. But I borrowed it back for the show.
Awesome. All right, so let's enter into the world of Patrick Renner. And they're called mud daubers, and you're calling them wood daubers because
no, sorry, wood dauber was just the title that I put on that particular
piece.
Sculpture.
Okay.
But by all means, they're referred to as mud daubers or dirt daubers sometimes. And they build these beautiful little enclosures for their eggs that they're laying until they hatch into full-size wasps. So what I like about these wasps is they're non-aggressive and they don't sting unless they're forced to, I suppose.
And I've seen them. Is there a place like, I want to stop and look at this really quick because Jennifer showed me this, how you were working the wood, working with it. So, and Jennifer had just shown me this where you had really nicely worked with the wood to make it do the curves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's the whole thing is kind of a faceted curve, and over time of working with this material, I've gotten a better sense of what it will allow me to do with it. So yeah, the detail that you pointed out is a fun one where I was able to kind of break it and bend it to make it follow the curve, or follow one part goes straight and the other part curves, just to kind of create this architectural shape that I was interested in making.
And you wanted to be an architect, right?
I thought about it.
At one point?
I didn't feel like I could follow the rules well enough to be an architect, and do
wear the tie, wear the architect
tie.
Do
all the rigorous stuff. Wear a tie, exactly. So I went back toward the art direction, and but always with an interest in and a sensitivity to kind of hopefully thinking about space and the way we move through space and encounter things. So
Wonderful. So let's start telling us, if you'll tell us about mud daubers on the way into your mud dauber world.
Sure.
As
Yeah,
I'm panning
so
on this.
I got interested in them because they show up around what was my studio. I mean, I guess they show up in my current studio as well, but I started seeing a lot of them in one of my first studios, which was also my residential space. So I still live there, and they still build a lot of nests there. And I'm not sure what it is about my building that they like, but they seem to proliferate there. So you'll see that I've created my own homage to the mud dauber with this large cardboard construction.
That I hear that your mother helped with.
Yeah, my mom jumped in on this, and my buddy Mike, who's also an artist, Michael Kirby.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so that was really cool to have it be kind of a communal process and get other people's hands on the project. My buddy Pee-wee and my other buddy Jacob and my buddy Rico were all involved in helping me clad the outside with all the wood. So
It's amazing, this mud dauber that y'all made. And it's all cardboard, right? And some wood?
There's a wooden understructure, but the surface is all cardboard, and as is the tubing on the inside, so that's
Very
kind
cool.
of fun. I realized that there's for me, an interesting interplay between the wood, which is more stable on the structure, and then the cardboard, which is also a wood product, being that it's paper.
Yeah.
And kind of thinking about different time signatures of the material.
That's really cool. And of course, we're going to keep going. I'm directing you. You do art and community. So I immediately looked at this show and said, where was the community and what were you doing with them? So I would say the community, first of all, was the wasps, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's an interesting question of how the work I've done in the community with the public relates to this. And I think there's some overlap, but certainly this exists in kind of a different realm, just because it's an art exhibition. But I do like the idea that people are going to come in and interact however they choose to with the work. And I guess there's the community of people that contributed the architectural material, even if they didn't realize they were contributing to an art piece. So
That's right.
I think the notion of community is present, hopefully still.
Well, for sure. I mean, you can just tell. And the painted boards, those are all found objects, right?
Correct, yeah.
Wow.
Nothing is material that I painted. It's all collected over, probably at this point, 2 decades.
Wow.
So,
Well, let's see. We can exit out that way, right?
Okay,
So, I mean, but we're going to go here first. But I just want to make sure I pan on all the boards because it's pretty remarkable how many different colors you have.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's again a reflection of community, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So here is your mud dauber home. Explain this, because I'm going to pan on it while you're explaining, but you'll be able to.
Yeah, this is about 15 years of collecting these things just as they pop up. I'm not really seeking them out even really at this point, just what I find. And most of them came from my home, although some came from my current studio, and I suppose probably from a couple other studio spaces that I've worked in.
And they create these for babies, right? And then they abandon them?
Correct,
or what?
yeah.
That's
they
the
lay
cycle?
their eggs, and then once the new insects hatch, the insects leaving the nest is what creates the holes, which I find very interesting.
Oh, okay. I was wondering, do they steal pencils to make those holes?
Yeah,
but that's when the baby
they
leaves.
dig their way out with the tiny spoon.
Yeah, really. These are so, because I've seen them, but I've never really contemplated them as much as you have.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jennifer and I loved, where's the one with the tape? Here we go.
Yeah.
So there's a mud dauber home in there. Wow.
And that was the last one that I found. That was in my tape bin at my studio.
It was almost like such a great coda to it, you know? Okay, cool. And I'm not going to show everything, and I know...
Okay.
Let's see, but what do you want to say about this little area? Anything?
I guess just that the rough character of the drywall was meant to sort of evoke the same thing of taking different pieces and putting them together in a way that's a little bit more gestural, a little bit more kind of. I kept saying to my friends that were helping me, "We're daubing everything."
You're daubing.
We're daubing on the drywall, and we're daubing on the pegboard, which is the other major skin for the interior.
And what is this? These are paint cans with
Yeah, these are
dauber?
paint cans. So actually, this does relate more directly to some of the past public projects where people were involved, because these are primarily left over from the bigger public project painting parties that I would sponsor.
Ah, yes. Okay.
So, and then I just had the idea of, you know, more holes in surfaces was kind of the idea there.
Okay.
So
You're the king dauber. You're the
I
king
guess,
of daubers.
yeah.
Wow, this is fascinating. Okay, so we're gonna walk out. I'll let
Okay.
you, I just wanna get a good glimpse of that and what you're talking about. All right, so let's go out and you can
Okay.
show us the pieces, the
Sounds
circular
good.
pieces.
Yeah, and then we can see Easter egg that's here.
Oh, yes. And let me do this real quick.
You're not the Easter egg. You can do Easter egg.
You're the Easter egg.
But you haven't seen this Easter egg yet either.
Say hi.
This is Benji. This is my
Hi,
friend
Benji.
You're on video now. So here's the Easter egg. Ooh.
Okay, wait, hang on. Dun, da, da. Okay. I love that. Look at that. And people are okay with touching this, right? You don't
Yeah,
mind them
sure.
pulling that open?
I don't mind. I hope that, of course, they can touch the door, and people can even touch the nests if they
Okay, if they're
do so
careful.
carefully, or else they'll break, and that's okay. Also.
So Jennifer said that these holes in the ceiling were bored by an artist, B-O-R-E-D, who had those pieces left over, right?
Yeah, so as I understand it, these were CNC machined and the ceiling panels, and so these pieces are what came out of the ceiling, and they offered to let me use those. And of course, I love when things extend beyond the original plan. So this was unplanned as far as putting in the door and utilizing those pieces. I didn't exactly know where they were going to go, but this all just sort of came together in a fun way.
That's
So
awesome.
We had to do it, you know.
So let's go over there to the circles real
All
quick.
right.
And then while you're going, I'm going to talk about, there's a tape and take party, I think, where August 19th, the show ends on the 18th, and on the 19th, people can come and tape off sections of the boards that they want to keep, right?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
So we're going to be offering we haven't figured out the price yet, but at some square footage price, we'll be offering people the opportunity to mark out areas that they like, and then we'll cut them out and bring them to whoever purchases them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it should be a fun event.
Yeah, that sounds really great. I want to be there for that. I think I'm
And
out of
this-
town, but I'll get somebody. Okay,
Oh,
yeah,
and
go ahead.
This will give you some idea of what those objects will look like. So these were the rounds that were cut out to put in the windows and the structure. Everything in the tape and take event is going to be more or less rectangular, rectilinear, squared off, just because these are unique to the windows. But that said, I'll let people mark things out that follow lines that are already in the structure if they're interested.
Great. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you, Sarah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.